Okay, it is 7 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting to order. While this meeting is being held in person, we are also offering the option for the public to participate through Zoom if preferred. Instructions on how to participate virtually are included in the City Council calendar item listed on the front page of missionks.org. Will you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Vaughn.
Here.
Hayden Chomposi.
Here.
Camosa.
Here.
Ryard.
Here.
Kring.
Here.
Schmid.
Here.
Josie.
Here.
Carpenter Davis.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a need for a revised agenda for tonight's meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve our revised agenda.
Council President Josie, I move the City Council adopt the consent agenda as printed, items 4A through 4. No, I'm sorry, the revised agenda. I don't see the rest of it on my packet. The revised agenda as printed. Thank you. January 21st, 2026.
Okay.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Without any discussion, Ms. Folks, please call the roll.
Hayden Chomposi.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Ryard.
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Schmid.
Aye.
Camosa.
Aye.
Josie.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have one public hearing this evening. First, we will hear from City Administrator Laura Smith. Following her presentation, if any member of the public would like to make a comment on the item listed for public hearing with regard to the removal of real property from TIF District 3B and adding the same to 3C related to the Encore Project, now would be the time.
All right, thank you. As we discussed at the committee meeting, I think you're all familiar. We have several items on our agenda this evening dealing with Sunflower Development's proposed Encore project that include a rezoning and a preliminary development plan. We're also aware that in connection with this project, the developer does intend to seek incentives, particularly tax increment financing incentives. They did have a tax increment financing package that was approved for the first phase 2 project that they brought forward, which was a 96 unit project. This one is a much larger project at 180 units. And so they're seeking to sort of reformulate the parcels within the TIF district. So when that project, the initial phase 2 project was approved, we created a separate TIF district. You'll recall that the city established back in 2006 the Rock Creek TIF district, which basically follows the creek channel from Roland Drive all the way down to Lamar. And as we have projects and developments that come forward or developers that are interested in that, we look at carving out specific project plan areas or separate TIF districts. The new Encore project that's anticipated by Sunflower Development would look at expanding the existing TIF district to encompass 4 additional parcels, now stretching from essentially the lanes, which was their phase 1 project, all the way to Roland Drive. And it would include the lot that was formerly associated with the Security Bank, now Walls Tetrick building, the city's park and ride lots that service the transit center, and the Wendy's property. In order for any of the other incentive discussions to move forward, we need to rearrange or reestablish this TIF district to align with the anticipated boundaries of the proposed development project. So the public hearing tonight, and that does require a public hearing to look at reestablishing those boundaries. So this would essentially bring those parcels, I have to look at the way it's worded specifically. So it would remove property within Rock Creek Redevelopment District 3B, which is where the Wendy's property and the city's transit lots are currently still in TIF District 3B. So remove those from 3B and incorporate those with 3C, which was what was approved, that lot that used to serve the Security Bank building. So that's really the purpose of this ordinance, even though it is related to establishment of that district. You'll recall that You have not yet considered a project plan. We have not yet entered into the process of negotiating appropriate incentives for your consideration. But in order for us to even be able to have those conversations, we need to be able to establish the appropriately sized and described TIF district. That being said, late this afternoon, the county was reviewing this ordinance after, as we've been kind of moving through this process, and they identified a small strip of land. Everybody has kind of always referred to it as an alley between that Walls Tetrick building and the Wild Oats building, which had never had a legal description assigned to it as part of the TIF district. Additionally, there were some issues with the meets and bounds descriptions of another one of the parcels. We have been working with Kevin Wimpy at Gilmore and Bell, our bond counsel. Mr. Scott has been working with the county to identify what needed to be done. The county suggested that revised legal descriptions incorporated into this ordinance would be appropriate to accomplish that. And so you should have received a red line version late this afternoon, which really just brings that alley, which had sort of not been described at all, into this. It's not part of the TIF district that's being established or expanded 3C. But this would remedy all of that, and we would be able to proceed with consideration of the ordinance tonight. So with that, I'm happy to be able to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, we'll start with public comment. As I said, if any member of the public would like to make a comment on the item listed for public hearing, the removal of real property from TIF District 3B and adding the same to 3C for the Encore project, now is the time. If you're participating through Zoom, please either add your comment in the chat feature and it will be read out loud, or note that you would like to speak and we will call on you shortly to make your comment verbally. Please remember your comments or questions are visible to everyone in the meeting. If you're part of our in-person group tonight, please raise your hand but stay seated and we will call on you to come to the lectern to make your comments. When you make your comment, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Also be conscientious of others trying to speak and speak slowly and clearly. If I need to confirm something that may have been difficult to hear, I will ask for clarification. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Are there any comments in person tonight or online? Okay, do we want to take council comments on the action item later, Laura? Okay. All right, seeing no public comments, I will now officially close the public hearing. And as I said, action will be taken later in the meeting regarding this item. We have one special presentation this evening to recognize two of our outgoing board and commission members, John Arnett and Mike Lee. John has served on Mission's Sustainability Commission for 10 years and has been instrumental in spearheading the commission's battery sorting and recycling program, along with supporting sustainability initiatives and doing outreach at the Mission Market and Parks and Recreation events. And Mike has served on Mission's Planning Commission for 20 years, serving as chairperson of the commission for 20 years. He has been instrumental in moving forward projects throughout Mission. He has also helped guide the zoning code update currently being completed. It's my honor to present each of you with a plaque commemorating your time with Mission, and on behalf of the governing body and city staff, offer our thanks and appreciation to both of you for your dedication to Mission and its goals and objectives in the areas of city planning and sustainability. You want to come on up? I'll present your plaque.
And Mayor Flores sends her regrets that she can't be here this evening, but.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you, John and Mike, for your service. We do not have any items related to the issuance of notes and bonds on our agenda this evening, so we will move on to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda has 6 items tonight. Our council committees met on January 14th and fully discussed each of these items. The committees agreed that the items listed on our consent agenda are routine enough to be considered under a single motion. If a council member or a member of the public would like an item removed from the consent agenda, they may request that at this time. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Council President Chosey, I move the city council adopt the consent agenda as printed, items 4A through 4F.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Folks, would you please call the roll?
Camosa,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis,
Aye.
Ryder,
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
motion carries.
We'll now move on to public comments. If any members of the public would like to make a comment on items that are not included on our agenda this evening, now would be the time. Are there any in person or online? Yes, please come forward and state your name and city of residence.
My name is Joshua, and I live in the Mission Hills Apartments over here. And he's my we like to have more city lights down Markway here, and some streets too, like Dearborn Street, Outlook Street, towards Johnson Drive, because some of the neighbors they walking at night or walking their pets at night. I can't really see them very well because it's so dark. So we like to have a little more lighting on the city lights if we can. And so that's all.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
comment. Much appreciated. Are there any other public comments on items not on the agenda? Yes, John.
Yes, thank you. John Arnett. I just want to make a public recognition and thank you on the record, if you will. Just thanks to all the council and Laura and Justin for the recognition and your support of the Sustainability Commission. It's really important. It's been certainly a good growth of support and accomplishments, I think, by the Sustainability Commission. I really appreciate the staff support and Public Works, and also Parks and Recreation, and indirectly through the Environmental Fair, which is a big project, a big accomplishment by the staff there and the building itself, and also just the staff liaisons, or the council liaisons, I should say, is a really good plus, I think, in both directions for the commission and for the council. So just thanks to all of you for the recognition, but mostly, mainly, and most importantly, your support of the Sustainability Commission. Thanks.
Thanks so much, John. Yes, Debbie.
Just a quick comment about John. John has been instrumental in being out in the community-wide for as long as I can ever remember. His activeness in the Mission Food Pantry is phenomenal. He was also one of the ones that was instrumental in moving forward on the Sustainability Commission for having them review current development agreements to ensure that the language was conducive to sustainable practices for now and for the future. So thank you, John. You will be missed. You're a legend.
You're here. Are there any other public comments this evening? Okay. Moving on to action items. We have, from the Planning Commission, we have 2 items coming forward from the Planning Commission for consideration this evening. The first is a rezoning of 5 parcels in the 5200 block of Martway. Ms. Cunningham, will you please provide your report?
Yes, good evening, council. Good to see you all again. So as the city administrator mentioned, we have 2 items related to the Encore development right off of Roland Drive, between the lanes and Roland Drive. And the first request is for a rezoning of that property. It's not for the preliminary development plan. That'll come next. So I won't get into the nitty-gritty of the design and the amenities and stuff like that in this. I'll do that next. But this request is for rezoning from MS2, Main Street District 2, to D&D, or Downtown Neighborhood District. And with the MS2 zoning, a multifamily residential development is permitted, but we require a commercial component within that development. So a vertical mixed use within the same building. And after speaking with the applicant, they believe that that is not financially realistic or feasible for this property based on experience with their current development at the lanes. There were a number of live work units in the lanes that, were advertised to include commercial space. Those were the only remaining vacant units that couldn't be leased. As you all know and have heard, I'm sure. Oh, yep. Oh, okay. Sorry. I've never been told I'm too quiet before, but they were the last remaining units that weren't able to be leased at the lanes, were the ones that had the commercial space component. No, that's okay. And as you all know, and I'm sure you've heard a lot, brand new commercial construction costs are very high. The square footage rental rate for those new commercial spaces is extremely high compared to established spaces along Johnson Drive. We also have a number of vacant commercial spaces in Mission already that are sitting vacant, unfortunately. And on Martway, right across the street from Mission Mart, with such close proximity to Johnson Drive, financially, the applicant feels it doesn't make a lot of sense to build brand new commercial space that might likely sit empty in the current market. So this request is based a lot on those market trends. And based on staff analysis, we do think it fits in the neighborhood character with the lanes right next door. And it is a much improved use of the property compared to the vacant Wendy's and the parking lots, surface parking. And actually constructing these apartments reduces the amount of impermeable surface area because of the added green space and landscaping. And we believe it would have no adverse impacts on health or safety or anything like that. So based on that, the recommendation from staff and the Planning Commission is to recommend or to approve case 25-07. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or Brian, if I don't know the answers, or we also have the applicant here, so.
If we could we start with public comment? Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this issue? Okay, seeing none, let's open the floor for council discussion. I think I saw Councilmember Craig's hand.
Just a quick question. Could you refresh my memory? The initial phase 2 project entailed how many units?
I think you said 96.
96 to 180 now, right?
Yes, now it's 180.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other council discussion?
Do you have the PowerPoint or something that we could throw up? I think there's just one rezoning slide that has like a really brief kind of overview of the project that might be helpful. Yes. Mhm.
Sorry, on the lanes, how many of those work are actually leased?
Currently,
Yeah.
let's ask the applicant.
Or, thank you.
How many of them are actually leased as live work units as opposed to just live units? So they're actually designed to be live work units, but they're of the 4 that are leased, there is no one that is also operating a business out of them. They are simply living in the live work unit. So they are not those 4 units that are leased. And I believe there's 7 total. So of the 7 total, 4 are leased. None of them have commercial activity that's occurring in them.
Well, then I'm confused as to why we don't D&D that whole area. The lanes also.
But you could at some future point have those leased out as commercial space. So as development picks up, as the market changes, as needs change, those could turn over, become a true live work unit where you have somebody living in the upstairs apartment and operating a small business out of the ground floor.
Is there any other council discussion on this item? Questions? Okay, with no further council discussion, I would now entertain a motion to rezone 5 parcels in the 5200 block of Martway from
Council-
MS2 to DND.
Council President Chusey, I move the City Council approve an ordinance rezoning 5 parcels of property along the south side of Martway from Roland Drive to 5399 Martway from Main Street 2, MS2 zoning district to Downtown Neighborhood District, DND zoning district.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further council discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Ryard,
Aye.
Eden Shamposi.
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Bond,
Aye.
Camosa,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. The second item coming forward from the Planning Commission is consideration of a preliminary development plan for the Encore multifamily development project. Ms. Cunningham, will you please provide that report?
Sure, thank you. This is the nitty gritty of the actual project now. So what you can see up here is the current site plan where it's mostly surface parking and then the vacant Wendy's, which I believe has been vacant since 2024, if that's correct. Go to the next slide. And then what is proposed is a 180 unit multifamily residential. There's studio through 2 bedrooms, and then I think there's 1 3-bedroom. In addition, a 5-level parking garage on the far western side. It will basically sit between the lanes and Encore, and that has 241 parking stalls. There will also be 12 on-street parking spaces added that will be situated in front of the leasing office, but are for public use. And in the agreement with Encore, because we're talking about the transit park and ride lot, which is underutilized, but it is public, they've agreed that the first story, the first level of the parking garage will be open to public parking, not just for residents. So that is something that's contained in the conditions of the agreement. The actual structure is proposed to be 4 stories tall, and that is one of the variances that would have to be approved with this preliminary development plan, and the other is for the density, the number of units per acre. And with the D&D approval, I believe that turns to, it'd be 4 units over the allowed units per acre of density. So allowing an additional story and allowing an additional 4 units for the development. Let's see. They'll also be adding a crosswalk across Martway to the transit center on the west side. You can see it going over from the parking garage. That will have rapid flashing beacons for anyone who's walking over to the transit center or just crossing over maybe to Mission Mart or to walk to Johnson Drive. Additionally, there's an 8-foot sidewalk that kind of meanders in front of the building that will connect to the existing sidewalk in front of the lanes. There is, can you go to the next slide, Justin? Sorry. There's compensatory stormwater storage in the southern portion of the site to make up for any impermeable surface. But like I said, it is strangely a reduction in the impermeable surface area because of all the landscaping. And we are requiring a preliminary and a final plat, which will come to you probably in the next couple of months, that are going through the Planning Commission process that establishes some easements, some access agreements, maintenance agreements, so all of that is forthcoming. Here you can kind of see the elevation, the east, north, and then on the bottom, the west and the southern elevations. Next slide, please. Here's a little bit more detail on the parking garage. Next slide. And here's kind of a snapshot of the development. I forgot to mention the amenities, which I guess is the fun part. There's an outdoor pool as well as an outdoor private dog park. It wouldn't be open for public use because it's behind the building. It would be a little bit of a security issue to have people going through the site who didn't live there. A fitness area, yoga room, and then a terrace, a rooftop terrace on the 4th floor for residents to access. The parking garage will be screened along the north side of Martway. So basically, if you were looking at the garage while you were driving, there would be the perforated panel screening so that headlights don't shine out and you can't see just directly into the parking garage. Next slide, please. 4 stories instead of 3, 55 units instead of 50. Okay, so it's 5 units per acre. We covered that. Next slide, please. And then the applicant provided us with some project renderings of what the final product will look like. Next slide. And here's kind of a rendering of the block, essentially, with the lanes and Encore build with the parking structure in between. Okay. And trying to make sure I didn't forget anything, but we also, for the Rock Creek, and this will come back with the plats, but for the creek that runs behind the lanes and Encore, we do have an access agreement and a drainage easement, so we will still be able to access the creek for any maintenance needs. But like I said, all of that will be forthcoming to you at a later time.
Okay, before we proceed to public comment, Mr. Floodman, did you have anything to add, or you just want to stand for questions as they come up?
I'll add just a couple comments on Encore. You know, as everybody knows, it's a long, narrow site, right? And so you can see we tried to kind of create some setbacks to break that space up quite a bit. I actually think the parking structure does a good job of breaking up the 2 buildings. But we're extremely excited about it. We're working on the pool layout now, which will just be off the Rock Creek Trail on the back side of the building. So hopefully we'll have some more pretty pictures here soon, but happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, for starters, is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this issue? Okay, seeing none, we'll open the floor for council discussion. Are there council questions or comments? Yes, Councilmember Vaughn.
Yes, my question is, how are people going to know that that bottom level is open for public parking?
They'll be gated for the residents. So there'll be a gate similar to kind of locale. There'll be a gate where you go up where the private secure resident parking is located. And it'll say, you know, we'll have signage that is very clear, first level public parking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm just a little bit I have no idea as to why the density is important. Why should I change what's normal? I mean, why should I add 5? Can you tell me that?
Add 5 units.
Yes, to the density per acre. It's like they did that for a reason. So explain to me why we should consider that.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is for us is construction costs, right? More units, more revenue. We run a model and go, okay, well, where's our kind of break even? What do we need to be at to get it financed through a lender and get equity potential partners excited about it? And usually that's why the lanes is around 180, 176 units to be exact. We didn't want to make it too big. I kind of like is under 200 is I think a nice niche. But if you make it too small, you lose economies of scale with construction and, you know, just cost. And so that which substantially hurts the model.
So who set that standard of 50 per
That's
acre?
a great question. Okay.
That's okay. So that comes from our zoning code, which, as you all know, we're updating right now, hasn't been updated in quite some time. And just a note also that because we're talking about adding a 4th floor to the structure and granting that variance, the density component comes in from adding that floor also. So we were talking about the number of units per acre, assuming a 3-floor structure, because that's the code. You add the 4th floor and that obviously increases the density just by going up. But they are spread out across more floors. So not a bunch of shoeboxes or, you know, skyscrapers certainly, but it does just come directly from our zoning code.
So why was that standard set then? Was there a reason for that? What are the consequences of us changing this?
I think that happened decades ago when the zoning code was adopted. I have no idea. I mean, it's kind of a consequence of what is going on in land use planning at that time. What are trends? What did the residents want at that time when it was adopted? So it's not a decision I think most of the people in this room were even here for, but
Yeah.
So there's no national standard,
Well,
building standard or recommendation or anything.
you know,
I just want to be.
kind of all over the place depending on the community, but
Yeah.
I would say the national standard's probably increasing. You're seeing more and more density.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's the way Mr. Banks described it, or Mr. Floodman, excuse me, that it's driven by the market.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you have the cost of land, you have the cost of construction, you have the cost of operating the building once it's completed, and then be able to turn, somewhat of a revenue return on investment to the owners of the building.
Okay.
So.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome.
Next hand I saw was Councilmember Hayden Chomposi.
Yes.
I have one question for you and then I think one question for staff. So the compensatory water storage, is that calculated to account for the increasing volume of climate incidents that we see, or is it based on an older standard? Do you happen to know?
I'm going to lean on my civil engineer.
Hey.
I'm not even going to start down that path. Will want me to sit down.
So the compensatory storage is basically offsetting.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Andy Gabbert, I'm with Renaissance Infrastructure Consulting, 8653 Penrose Lane,
Nice to meet you.
Lenexa, Kansas. So the compensatory storage right now, with the current site being a parking lot, there is some flood waters that actually comes up into the parking area. By modifying the site and shifting that over, we have to basically still keep that area allowable to flood into our site, but we have to keep it out of the building area or building and parking garage area. So essentially what we're doing is we're moving it, but we're still accepting that floodwater area so that in a flood event, that water is still able to come up into our site rather than us trying to push it down the floodway area. So therefore, it's not impacting the downstream or upstream conditions.
Perfect. Thank you.
I believe those calculations are based on a 100-year flood event,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Thank you.
I also believe, Mr. Scott, that the design of the Rock Creek Channel, which is influencing the flooding on the property that we're talking about, that project was designed with some of those higher level rain events in mind.
Perfect.
So if that channel is in fact, which I believe it, there's no way it can't impact your project, those standards were applied to that project.
Yeah, that was done with the improvements to Rock Creek too.
Great. Thank you. The other question that I had was just for confirmation, what is the current volume of usage of the park and ride? I know that you said that it's underused and it sounded
Yeah.
like we had 23 spots that were going to be designated as public, primarily for park and ride, I assume. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know.
I don't know that there's been a parking count done, but I mean, we haven't ever seen it more than a handful of cars. We are getting a 1-to-1 trade on the parking lot, but I have, in my time here, and even when I didn't work here and walking on the trail, it's pretty underutilized. And I did want to make a comment based on the compensatory storage that I forgot to include in my report. The retaining wall behind the site, there's a portion behind the old Wendy's that never got completed because it is very hard to work with franchisee, corporate, large entities. And that will be completed with this project to the standards that were designed by GBA.
Any other council discussion? Yes, go ahead.
So in looking at it looks like this plan is for 48 studios, 112 one bedrooms and 20 two bedrooms. I guess, is that spread where 88% are essentially one bedroom or studio? Is that spread, I guess, normal compared to projects of this scale? And what does that look like at the locale? Might be for Mr. Floodman.
Yeah, so that unit matrix that you described is very, very similar to what we have at the lanes. What we saw at the lanes was our ones and our studios were the first to lease. I don't know if it was kind of a COVID pivot that people just wanted their own space. You had a lot of 2 bedrooms, and as you go further south, In a little more kind of, suburbia, you might find more twos. But this is, this is a core, location, very close to a lot of things. And so we're finding that people would prefer to live on their own rather than split rent with a roommate like they used to.
Thank you. I think I said locale and I meant.
Oh,
Lane.
that's okay. That's a good property too.
Okay, on to Councilmember Kring, please.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate because it's incumbent on us collectively to do things that are going to be good, not only for the present, but for the future.
Sure.
We have several apartment projects pending right now. And I'm still waiting for the schematic that shows me how many there are. And I think you're updating that now. But we can't blindly approve things without knowing some of the contingencies. How many more police will we need? How many additional public works people will we need? Those, and that's not your issue, that's ours. But those kind of things need to be asked at every meeting that we have new developments coming in. Going from 96 to 180 is gigantic. And it has nothing to do with you personally. This is not personal, this is business. And it's difficult to move forward with another apartment project of this magnitude without looking at staff. So I will not be voting for it. It's nothing against you. I'm nothing against apartments. It's once these are in place, that's all you can use them for. You can't go back and put commercial things in apartments. We just have to look at those things, and I'll be the devil's advocate, and that's okay. My constituency has spoken loud and clear. And so it's a balancing act to be up here. You look out for the future of the city, but you also look out for the people that vote for you and what they think and believe you stand for. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, not a problem. And I think that's a big reason why we are choosing to pursue TIF and have a share back component. So there is additional property tax for the city of Mission, and that can be utilized, in a lot of different ways. And maybe police officers or et cetera is one of those ways that they can be utilized, because the Wendy's probably won't produce a whole lot, but hopefully a project like this will show incremental property tax, especially get larger and larger as this area continues to grow. And that will enable you to, hopefully get more, any sort of public services that are beneficial for the community. So thank you.
So that matrix was emailed late this afternoon, so it should be in your email and available. And if we could certainly print a copy if you would be interested to
Does
see
it have a component that addresses additional staff?
It does not, but we talk about that internally, and with what is with what is in the mix right now, we don't believe that we need extra staff. But we have had internal conversations as recently as 2 weeks ago that with some of the other things that are looming on the horizon, we're going to be very much bringing forward those conversations, because we feel that we will be reaching that point where we'll impact operations.
Also, I did want to note in our internal staff review, because we go over this a lot before it ever makes it to you all, we actually do have an officer involved in that review who's certified in crime prevention through environmental design, basically how to design these projects in a way that discourages crime based on lighting and access to certain areas. But they are involved in our review process as well since I've been here, and that's been really valuable for all of us. We're definitely learning things, but they're a part of the process too.
Any other council questions or comments? Yes, please.
So then you also have looked at utilities and water and all of that, and whether we can, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we also, part of the review is we utilize a consulting engineer who looks at everything, who probably drove you all crazy, making you redo stormwater reports and traffic counts and stuff like that. So no shortage of eyes on things, not that things can't be missed, but yes.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I would now entertain a motion on the preliminary development plan for the Encore multifamily development project. Is there a motion?
Council President Josie, I move the City Council approve an ordinance for a preliminary development plan for a 180-unit multifamily development project in the 5200 block of Markway with stipulations.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any final council discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Camosa,
Aye.
Kring,
Nay.
Carpenter Davis,
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Bayard,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to our committee reports. Councilmember Schmidt, will you please provide a report from the Finance and Administration Committee?
Absolutely. Thank you. The Finance and Administration Committee met on January 14th and considered 7 items. The meeting minutes and agenda updates related to order of business were approved under the consent agenda earlier tonight. An ordinance terminating TIF project plan, Rock Creek Development District number 3C, ordinance adjusting tax increment financing district boundaries for Rock Creek Development Districts 3B and 3C, and consideration of the repeal of select city council policies will be considered under the regular agenda this evening. 2 items from the meeting, governing board compensation and council board and commission liaison appointments, were items for discussion that did not require further council action. Item 7A is the ordinance terminating TIF project plan, Rock Creek Development District number 3C. In September of 2024, via ordinance number 1613, the city adopted a tax increment financing redevelopment project plan for Rock Creek Development District number 3C for a 96-unit multifamily project proposed by Sunflower Development Group. Since that time, the developer has abandoned those plans and is now seeking both zoning entitlements and public incentives for a larger revised project to be known as Encore. In order to move forward in the review process, the previous TIF project plan is no longer valid and should be terminated. Although the TIF statutes do not address outright termination of a redevelopment project plan, taking such action does not conflict with any provisions of the TIF Act. Therefore, the governing body, pursuant to its home rule powers, will consider an ordinance terminating the project plan and repealing the relevant portions of ordinance number 1613. The ordinance in the packet was drafted by Gilmore and Bell, PC, and will accomplish the termination. Termination of the tax increment financing redevelopment project plan requires a 2/3 majority vote of the governing body. Council President Chosey, I move the City Council approve the ordinance terminating the tax increment finance redevelopment project plan for Rock Creek Redevelopment District number 3C.
I hear a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Schmidt,
Aye.
Bayard,
Aye.
Camosa,
Aye.
Kring,
Nay.
Carpenter Davis,
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item 7B, ordinance adjusting the tax increment financing district boundaries for Rock Creek Redevelopment Districts 3B and 3C. In 2020, Sunflower Development Group received zoning entitlements and TIF incentives for construction of the Lanes, a 5-story, 168-unit multifamily housing development on the site of the former Mission Bowl at 5399 Martway. In 2023, Sunflower proposed a second phase immediately east of the Lanes. The developer secured approvals for both zoning entitlements and TIF incentives for the Phase 2 project. As a part of that process, a separate TIF district, Rock Creek Development District 3C, was created. The developer now wishes to abandon the approved Phase 2 project in favor of a larger development known as Encore. They have proposed a 180-unit multifamily development that will include a 5-story parking structure situated between the lanes and new building. It will contain a mix of studio, 1- and 2-bedroom units, along with other amenities including a pool, work facilities, and conference/office area. The development site comprises 5 parcels of land between the lanes and Roland Drive. These include the parking lot formerly associated with the Security Bank/Waltz Dietrich building, the city-owned transit park and ride lot, and the former Wendy's property. The entire site is approximately 3.34 acres. The zoning entitlement components of the project were presented on the January 14th, 2026 Community Development Committee agenda. The developer plans to request TIF incentives similar to those approved for the lanes and the previous Phase 2 project. In order to accomplish this, the TIF district established with Phase 2 for Rock Creek Redevelopment District 3C has to be expanded to include the other parcels, which are currently part of Rock Creek Redevelopment District 3B. Before any of the other steps in the TIF process can occur, the parcels to be included as a part of the Encore project must be reassembled into a single TIF district by removing the affected parcels from Rock Creek Redevelopment District 3B and adding them to Rock Creek Redevelopment District 3C. Following last week's committee meeting, the county raised some questions concerning legal descriptions, including in the ordinance. Those have been corrected per the county's direction, and the updated ordinance is what is being considered by the council this evening. Council President Chosing, I move the City Council adopt the updated ordinance with corrected legal descriptions approving the removal of property within Rock Creek Redevelopment District Number 3B and the addition of property to Rock Creek Redevelopment District Number 3C.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any council discussion on this item?
I have one note of clarification, if I may.
Please.
As I was reading through this, I believe I noted that it said this was a 5-story structure, but I thought we just discussed that it was 4. The parking structure is 5. Got it. Okay. That was it.
Any further council discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Spring,
Nay.
Mosa,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis,
Aye.
Ryder,
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item number 7C, repealing select city council policies. In the fall of 2025, staff began a process of reviewing all city council policies. The goal of this work is to repeal any unnecessary or outdated policies and replace outdated language or procedures with clear, accurate, and actionable guidelines that reflect current practice. Tonight, 5 policies that it has been determined are no longer relevant are being recommended for repeal. Those include Council Policy 101, Budget Amendments, Council Policy 105, Mission to Business Development Committee, Council Policy 108, Relations, Elected Officials, and Staff, Council Policy 121, Parkland and Asset Management, Council Policy 125, Policy relating to the Annual Street Maintenance Program. Details regarding the original intent and purpose of the policies and the reason for appeal is detailed in the action items summary and was presented at the January 14th, 2026 Finance and Administration Committee meeting. Repeal of these policies will continue the work of modernizing the City Council Policy Manual. Staff anticipate bringing forward more policy revisions or deletions throughout 2026. Council President Chosing, I move the City Council repeal the following City Council policies: 101, 105, 108, 121, and 125.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any council discussion on this item? Yes.
I think here, I just wanted to comment that I think as we do potentially look at growing, due to the Encore that we just talked about and some of the other apartment complexes, anything that we can do to modernize, to be more efficient, to reduce confusion or redundancy is great. So I'd like to see reviews like this happen. I don't believe this came forward last year, so this might be the first, or I just don't remember it, so I like the notion of whatever had happened last. But I like the idea of continuing to do this and just look for areas where noise or clutter inefficiencies are introduced and just getting rid of them. So, yep.
Any other council comments on this item? Councilmember Vaughn?
My concern is that all of these should be reviewed periodically. And should we be saying something about this in here, or will it just be done? How will that work?
I think that we have committed, it becomes an issue of time for us in many instances, right? And so we have started with some of the low-hanging fruit, to be very candid, that won't require a lot of additional sort of council discussion or debate or thought about how we might want to modify policies. For those of you who were on the council in 2023, I believe, or 2024, when we revised and overhauled our tax abatement policy, it took us several months to get through that process. So there are several which have been adopted more recently than many of these that were adopted in 2003. They all still need to be refreshed and reviewed. But I think we're absolutely committed to that, and we can try to map out a calendar. I think Justin has done some of that work in thinking about what's the next batch that needs to come forward or make sense in that review.
I have a
Quick comment.
Yes, go ahead.
It's just an error on number 112. It says it was revised May 10th, 10,006. That's it.
Mhm. Is there any other, is there any other council discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, let's, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Camosa,
Aye.
Ryard,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
okay, Schmidt,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi.
Aye.
Ray Kring.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Carpenter Davis, will you please provide your report from the Community Development Committee?
Yes, thank you, Council President Chosi. The Community Development Committee also met on January 14th and considered 7 items. The meeting minutes, right-of-way, maintenance agreement, Mission Flats LLC, Johnson Drive, Metcalf to Lamar, Cars Project, Interlocal Agreement, citywide mowing contract renewal with Kansas Land Management, and Rock Creek Stormwater Improvements Project, Water One, Interlocal Agreement were approved under the consent agenda earlier tonight. Addendum number 1 to the agreement with Orion Planning Plus Design for Phase 2 of the update of the city's land use code and updated right-of-way use agreement with Mission Beverly LLC will be considered under the regular agenda this evening. 7D, Addendum 1 to the agreement with Orion and design for Phase 2 of the update of the city's land use code. The City Council approved an agreement with Orion Planning Plus Design in November of 2024 to assist the city in updating its land use code. The scope of the work entailed a 2-phase approach to the project. The first phase was a zoning code audit, which consisted of a review of the city's current land use code and how it aligns with the newly adopted comprehensive plan and other master plans and studies in achieving the land use goals of the city. This phase also included extensive engagement with internal and external stakeholders to garner feedback about the effectiveness of the current land use code and the development process in general. This work resulted in a zoning code audit that was presented to the City Council and Planning Commission at a joint work session in early December. The second phase of the project will be the actual drafting of a new land use code for the City of Mission. This will be a year-long process with work being done primarily by staff and the consultant team. There will be periodic meetings with the project steering committee made up of 3 members from the City Council and 3 members from the Planning Commission. The purpose of the steering committee is to provide input and feedback on the work that is being done to ensure that it is aligned with mission's goals and to provide guidance on questions that may arise. Members of the steering committee will include representatives from the City Council and the Planning Commission. Council President Chosi, I move the City Council authorize the City Administrator to execute an addendum number 1 to the agreement with Orion Planning Plus Design for Phase 2 of the Land Use Code update in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
I hear a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? And seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Camosa.
Aye.
Ryard.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 7E, updated right-of-way use agreement, Mission Beverly LLC. The City Council recently approved a right-of-way use agreement with Mission Beverly LLC to allow certain portions of the Mission Beverly multi-family development project to encroach into the city's right-of-way along Dearborn, Beverly, and Martway streets. In further reviewing the attached exhibit to this agreement that showed the various encroachments, it was discovered that the previous agreement did not include a portion of the development project that will encroach into the easement for the Rock Creek Trail and right-of-way along the south side of Martway. The actual encroachment into the trail is a doorway landing, including the stairs and ADA accessible ramp. A planter box will encroach about 1.5 feet into the right-of-way. In discussing this matter with the city's attorney and the attorney representing Mission Beverly, it was determined that the best course of action would be to void the approved agreement and adopt an entirely new agreement with the correct language, recognize the encroachment, as well as incorporating a corrected exhibit. Council President Chosi, I move the City Council approve and update a right-of-way use agreement with Mission Beverly LLC Millhouse Development Group to allow certain portions in the Mission Beverly multifamily development project to encroach into the city's right-of-way along Dearborn, Beverly, and Markway Streets.
Second that.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Schmidt,
Aye.
Green. Aye. Hayden Chomposi,
Aye.
Ryder,
Aye.
Camosa.
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We do not have any unfinished business tonight, therefore we will move into new business. We do have 2 items of new business tonight. The first is for easement acquisition for the 2026 Johnson Drive Street Rehabilitation Project. Ms. Boyce, will you please provide your report about this item?
Sure. We're looking for authorization, for council to authorize the acceptance and recording of the right-of-way permanent sidewalk easements, temporary construction easements required for the 2026 Johnson Drive Street Reconstruction Project. This includes authorizing the city administrator to execute the easement documents on behalf of the city of Mission and to issue payment to property owners and as applicable. So as you know, we're still in the midst of the acquisition process for the Johnson Drive Street Reconstruction Project. Little by little, we're negotiating with the property owners, and some of them are the corporate ones, which are the 2 that are on this agenda tonight, CVS and Burger King. So they're having to work with their corporate folks to get those signed. So we are looking for authorization to move forward with these 2 items, and then that should leave the remaining, I think 5 parcels who most of them will be in the condemnation proceedings in early February.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this issue? And seeing none, we'll now open the floor for council discussion on this item. Is there any council discussion? Yes, please, Councilmember Camosa.
Automation proceedings, can you provide just like a bite size? What does that mean?
Condemnation?
Condemnation?
Yeah.
So this is a
Say condemnation?
condemnation.
Oh my
Yes.
Clean my ears out. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Did you want me to explain the condemnation?
Yeah.
I can. So this is a federally funded project. In order to move forward with bidding the project, we have to acquire all of the easements. And we've been working on that for the last probably 6 to 8 months. That entails having each of the properties appraised, and then we submit the appraisals to each of the businesses with a letter stating an offer for their property. We're only taking frontage for easements to widen the sidewalks and or temporary construction easements to have that temporary use of the property during the construction process for either equipment, work, and or placement of equipment, and then restoration. So the temporary ones will last about 2 years because there's a 2-year warranty period. Certain properties have taken our offers, and we brought these to council and have submitted or recorded the easements and then paid the property owners through the process. Some of them want to go to the condemnation process so that there are court-appointed appraisers that will do another appraisal. There's a possibility that the value of their property could go up. There's a possibility it could go down. There's a possibility it could stay the same. So that process started in October when the court-appointed appraisers were appointed by a judge in Johnson County. And then in November, they appointed or set the hearing, which is in February. So between November and February, the court-appointed appraisers have that time to put together their valuation of these properties, and they'll present it at a hearing in February in front of our attorney, our staff. Laura and I will be there, and our appraiser will be there to give any testimony as well. And then they'll make their valuation, their reports, and my understanding is that once those are provided to us, we review them, we have to pay the court any fees that are due. The easements will come to us. We'll go through the same process to accept the easements, pay them, and then we'll have our clearance and we can move forward with the bidding process.
Thank you. That was immensely helpful.
And just one, so the city has limited ability to use our power of eminent domain or condemnation. So if it is for a public purpose, which in this case it is for the street and road project, we are able to exercise that, but we may not. Oftentimes, you'll hear very casually people say, well, why don't you just condemn that? And so it's very limited and narrow in scope, so as not to allow cities to abuse that authority in taking property.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, Councilmember Vaughn.
So who pays for that second assessment? Does the company pay for that or the county or?
We pay for that. The city has to pay those costs. They have to pay for their attorneys. So little by little, people or these businesses are settling with us, and then they're removed from that condemnation process. And then hopefully the appraisers haven't appraised their property or made their reports, and we don't have to pay for those. So we'll coordinate with our attorney that these properties are removed from the condemnation process.
Any other discussion on? And now I would now entertain a motion related to acceptance of easements for the 2026 Johnson Drive Street Rehabilitation Project.
Council President Chosey, I move the City Council authorize the acceptance and recording of the right-of-way permanent sidewalk easements and temporary construction easements required for the 2026 Johnson Drive Street Reconstruction Project. This includes authorizing the city administrator to execute the easement documents on behalf of the City of Mission and to issue payment to property owners as applicable.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Schmidt,
Aye.
Pring. Aye. Hayden Chomposi. Aye. Ryard.
Aye.
Camosa.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our second item of new business tonight, also with Ms. Boyce, is for easement acquisition for the Broadmoor Stormwater Project. Can you please provide your report about this item?
Sure. In December, the city council, you all awarded a construction project for the emergency repairs of failed storm drain on Broadmoor Street between 55th Street and 56th Street and at 7031 Johnson Drive. These projects are for failed pipe in those areas. And so the work includes a combination of reinforced concrete pipe and high-density polyethylene to upgrade the stormwater systems to meet the current infrastructure standards. To facilitate these improvements, the city must acquire 2 permanent drainage easements and 2 temporary construction easements for these 2 projects. We have those easements in hand executed by the property owners. And so similar to the Johnson Drive project, we're just looking for acceptance by the council so that we can record these easements and complete the work on those properties.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this issue? Seeing none, we'll now open the floor for council discussion. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, I would now entertain a motion related to acceptance of easements for the Broadmoor Stormwater Project as presented.
Council President Chosey, I move the City Council authorize the acceptance and recording of permanent drainage easements and temporary construction easements, required for the Broadmoor and Johnson Drive stormwater projects. This includes authorizing the city administrator to execute the easement documents on behalf of the City of Mission.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Camosa.
Aye.
Ryard.
Aye.
Hayden Chomposi.
Aye.
Pring.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We will now move into comments from the city council. This is an opportunity for comments from our council members. Does anyone on the council have something they would like to share? Councilmember Crane, please.
Thanks. Wayne and I will hold the Ward 3 meeting tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at the community center. All are invited. Secondly, I get an email from a group called Only in Kansas, and they made mention of the Mud Pie Bakery, that of anything in Kansas, you need to go to that Mud Pie Bakery in Mission, Kansas. So I thought that was a great support for us.
Next, Councilmember Camosa.
I just want to say these magnets were whoever came up with that idea. Wonderful idea. I cannot tell you how many times I have to look up when the next bulky item pickup is throughout the year. So, yeah, gold star, whoever came up with that idea. Thank you.
Any other council comments this evening? Okay. Next, we have our council committee liaison reports. These reports allow the entire governing body to stay up to date with the various activities of the boards, commissions, and committees. First will be Councilmember Hayden Champosi for the Sustainability Commission.
Yeah, so the Sustainability Commission, the last time they met, hold on, I can get a date together, January 5th. They actually held their elections for the year, and so we're welcoming in Alexa Root as the chair, James Robbins as the vice chair, and thanking our immediate past chair, Josh Thiede. They then held a very exciting brainstorming session about everything that they would like to do this year. They have a planning retreat coming up, and so it was partially to get ideas together for that. But they have really interesting ideas about how to continue to kind of make the Sustainability Commission more visible, and the work that they are doing in partnership with the city more visible as well, including some questions that they have for the Mission Mag. Excuse me. I think that the only other major thing to share from them is that they do have some thoughts about the future of the battery sorting program and the holiday light collection, mostly how to continue to have hands that can do it and get it done when our constituents need it the most. That is the end of that report. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next, council members Kring and Schmid for the Parks, Recreation, and Tree Commission.
Yeah, much like sustainability, PRT is also starting to go through its goals and initiatives for 2026. So more to come as they work through that. A few items that came up. We did achieve a gold level standard award for a community of all ages, which is very exciting, as that is the tops. Parks and Rec has responded to some vandalism issues that occurred in some of the parks. Been seeing some overturned tables, graffiti or in and around the bathrooms, and responded to that by installing some cameras along with signs notifying folks if they're on camera. A lot of time and effort and money has gone into making these parks really great places to be. So hopefully that can cut down on that kind of behavior. We are continuing to see a bump in Sunday attendance at the community center, up to around 350, up from 150 to 300 in last spring. So a pretty significant increase, which is great to see. Every year, students at Rushton participate in the Arbor Day poster contest. That is coming to the community center as well. You are encouraged to come and vote between January 30th and February 1st. Those posters will be up on the wall. Vote for the one you like best, and we'll award the winner. This year's theme was Kansas trees are wonderful in all shapes and sizes. So,
yes, please.
Just to add to that, 2 EV chargers are coming to Mission at the community center and at Broadmoor Park. Also, the Super Pool Pass that we've entered into in the past, the partners are now Fairway, Prairie Village, and Roland Park is back in with that partnership. That's it.
Right, thank you very much. Next, we would hear an update from myself and Councilmember Ryherd on the magazine editorial board. Unless I've lost the plot or you've met without me, we haven't met since my last report. Okay. And finally, Councilman. Oh, that's all right. You never know. I miss things. Finally, Councilmember Carpenter Davis, would you please give an update on the Family Adoption Committee?
Family Adoption Committee has not met, but it will meet tomorrow. I just would like to give a shout out to Penn and all the people involved in this project. It's phenomenal and makes us all feel great to be part of Mission and help people. It's just wonderful when people go to the cars and deliver all these gifts. It's it makes the holidays even much more brighter. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the council committee liaison reports. This evening, we do have several mayoral appointments to report. We will begin with the assignment of council commission and committee liaisons. Every 2 years, new liaison appointments are determined based on interest from council members. The mayor's appointments beginning in 2026 include council members Hayden Champosi and myself to the Sustainability Commission. To the Parks, Recreation, and Tree Commission will be council members Carpenter Davis and Camosa. To the Mission Magazine Editorial Board will be council members Reichard and Kring. And to the Family Adoption Committee will be council members Vaughn and Schmid. We look forward to keeping the lines of communication open with our various volunteer committees and commissions. Next, we have the appointment of a number of city officials. These appointments are called for in our ordinances and are considered annually. On behalf of the mayor, I put before you tonight the following for appointment: Keith Drill as municipal court judge, and Jeffrey Austin, David Bell, and Peter Simonson as municipal court judges pro tem. Is there a motion?
Council President Chosey, I move the city council uphold the appointment of Keith Drill as municipal court judge and Jeffrey Austin, David Bell, and Peter Simonson as municipal court judges pro tem.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
I will. Schmid,
Aye.
Ring,
Aye.
Hayden Champosi,
Aye.
Reichard,
Aye.
Camosa,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And finally, each year we appoint third-party advisors and consultants who assist us on various projects throughout the year. I put before you tonight the following for appointment: Gilmore and Bell as bond counsel, Ehlers Inc. as financial advisor, and Stinson LLP, Anna Kruslik, land use attorney. Is there a motion?
Council President Chosey, I move the city council uphold the appointments of Gilmore and Bell for bond counsel, Ehlers Inc. as financial advisor, and Stinson LLP as land use attorney, with all terms expiring January 20th, 2027.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Folks, will you please call the roll?
Hayden Champosi.
Aye.
Reichard,
Aye.
Camosa,
Aye.
Vaughn, Carpenter Davis.
Aye.
Schmid,
Aye.
Ring.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We will now move on to the city administrator's report. Ms. Smith, do you have any items that you would like to share with the city council tonight?
Nothing of significance. We have been working very diligently on a master calendar and a special events calendar for the balance of the year, and we hope to be able to share that out with some exciting events for the celebration of our 75th anniversary, as well as some activities geared toward the World Cup visitors that we hope will be joining us in and around our community over the summer.
All right. Thank you very much.
And we have no interim financial reports because we are just still in the process of getting the year closed, technically closed. And then I believe that Ms. Folks does have a couple of business updates for you this evening.
Yes, thank you. As you may have seen in the Mission Monthly that went out yesterday, we are welcoming a few new businesses at the beginning of this year. Beauty and the Wax, an esthetician's office at 5845 Horton. Resilient Mindset, Mental Health and Wellness at 5800 Fox Ridge. And Interbridge Psychiatry and Therapy at 5800 Fox Ridge. So 2 different therapists sharing the same office space there. And then Ride Controller at 6900 Fox Ridge. And that's what we've got tonight. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. We do not have a need for an executive session tonight. Therefore, before we adjourn tonight, I want to share with the public that the video from this meeting will be available through a link on our website at missionks.org. There being no further business tonight, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor? We are adjourned.